This is insane. A Destiny 2 player did some testing, they did some digging in regards to the contest version of the Desert Perpetual raid that just launched in Destiny 2. They exposed Bungie in a big way. They did so in such a way that Bungie themselves actually had to respond to it because it became so viral and everyone was talking about it. So what is the controversy? What is the expose? Well, Proteus here on Twitter said, the power delta in the contest raid seems to be much greater than -25, which, if you step foot in the contest raid, you'll figure that out real quick, okay? As soon as you shoot a golden gunshot at the boss and it does like a tiny sliver of his health, you're like, yeah, something ain't right here, you know? Like there's a big issue in regards to the power delta and how this works. So if you don't know what a power delta is in Destiny 2, basically a certain level you can be overpowered or underpowered from any given activity. And Bungie tends to have some consistency with certain activities, you know, like Grandmasters will have a certain power delta, and contest raids and patrol spaces, they all have different power deltas. So they did some testing, and here we go. Damage was tested with one non-denouement body shot at power level 195, which is -25 in Fabled. So against a minor, -25, it did 137, and a minor in contest, it did 100. Against a major Fabled, which is -25, it did 93, and a major in contest, it did 68. So why is this such a big deal, or why is this a big problem? Well, the contest mode is meant to be a -25 activity. So theoretically speaking, if you were to shoot an enemy, the exact same enemy, in a Fabled version of an activity that puts you at -25 and in the contest mode, it should give you the exact same numbers, but for some bizarre reason, it doesn't. The only explanation you can come to from this is that Bungie is balancing contest in some different way than they've actually advertised, which is a really big deal, because if you actually want to sign up for the contest mode raid and you're like, okay, cool, it's going to be -25, it's going to feel like doing a Fabled activity, then you kind of know what to expect. But if you load into it and it says -25, but in reality it's like -40, like that's a very different experience, okay? A -40 is a very different experience, way more difficult, way more brutal, and a lot more people would just not sign up for that because like, okay, listen, I like Destiny 2, but I'm not that hardcore, right? Comment down below if you actually jumped into the contest mode raid. I and my team were somehow able to successfully clear it after 46 brutal hours. Yes, 46 hours is how long it took us. We only had 2 hours before reset and we would not have gotten the emblem, so we were ecstatic to actually clear that. And the video of that's live on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. They then go on to say, just for clarity's sake, I went and did the same test, one bow body shot, and it seems like the damage difference is closer to your damage getting cut in half in contest. So contest is roughly 40% of goblin HP, and Fabled is roughly 80% of goblin HP. So you can see here the coral goblin right there and the coral goblin right there. Now that's a massive difference. You go from almost one-shotting a goblin to, you know, needing 3 shots to kill the goblin. When you advertise it as being within the -25 power delta, and then the activity is way different, that's a problem. And like I said, Bungie did respond to this, and we're going to get to that in just a moment here. The last bit they say, which this person, they're really going after it, and they're really approaching it in a very analytical way, which is good. Seems like if the contest shipped at -25 like every other contest has historically, you would be doing somewhere between 65 to 75% more damage than you would do right now in contests. Wow. So you should be doing 65 to 75% more. That's why if you feel so weak, because something has been tuned terribly. If you haven't figured this out recently or heard the news, but they just recently released a firing range in the game, and the firing range is also bugged. So Bungie has no clue how to balance the numbers out inside Destiny 2, and I don't know what they're going to do to fix this and make this right, but this is wild. Would love to see Bungie's QA clear under these conditions. There's no one inside Bungie Studio that clears in contest. That's a fact. There's no team in Bungie Studio that clears in contest. There's no way. It was way too brutal. It was ridiculous. So tough. So tough. You can see they got the chart here for all the numbers. Now, the Destiny 2 team responds. In fact, they spawn directly to the Desert Perpetual World's First Raid Race, and they give us a list of their highest priority things. And number 1 on that list was power deltas. And we previously talked about this in a video, but I wanted to bring you this video as a follow-up so you can understand where that came from. It was from this person's viral post. So this is why Bungie had to say power deltas for the contest raid difficulty. We're seeing reports of enemies being at a higher delta than what the activity advertises. Example, enemies have a skull icon next to them instead of a sword. So you mean they're at minus 40 power instead of minus 25? We will investigate. Well, you can do all the investigating you want, Bungie. I've competed in every single contest mode raid in your game, and Desert Perpetual was ridiculously overtuned. It was not at all your normal minus 25 experience. Now, was this a bad experience? Was this terrible? Did they ruin this raid? I don't think so. I mean, if no team cleared in 48 hours, we'd be probably having a different conversation. But since many teams cleared from what my estimations, I mean, right now, Raid Report is struggling to get the whole list of everyone. I think they're trying to clear out all the cheaters because a lot of people cheated to clear this, which is really unfortunate, but trying to clear out the list and get rid of all the cheaters. But a lot of people thought that initially that maybe no one would clear it. I think the first team cleared it after 17 hours, which is a long time, but it just goes to show you that the Destiny 2 players are committed to min-maxing as much as possible. I think that Bungie overtuned this one. I don't think it should have been quite as hardcore as it was. I don't exactly hate it in every aspect because I do think it creates a really interesting spectacle. You know, when we had a raid like Root of Nightmares that was cleared in like just a few hours, it's like, it's just over and done with, and then we have to wait a whole year to get another new raid. It's like, it's such a long time, you know? I kind of want it to be a real spectacle, a real grind. And Bungie and Destiny 2 are really pushing towards that MMO direction, and I'm by no means a WoW expert, but from what I've been told before is that various different WoW raids can take a long time. I think some of them even take weeks to clear, so you go into it over and over again and you try new strategies and min-max different things, and then eventually you clear the activity, right? We're nowhere near that in Destiny 2, right? We're nowhere near weeks to clear a raid, you know? Right now, 17 hours is the longest roughly we've ever seen. We've had that with, what was it, Last Wish kind of had something like that. We had that with Salvation's Edge, and now we kind of have the third iteration in Destiny 2 with Desert Perpetual with these super grindy, super difficult raids. But Desert Perpetual really pushed it to a whole new level, something like we had never seen before. I mean, this was just crazy, crazy difficulty. You had to be min-maxed to the most perfect level with loadouts being swapped and everything. And I did previously mention that console players probably would not actually clear this, but it has been confirmed that a console team did clear it. So I do think that loadout swapping is still possible if you're on console, maybe just a little bit slower, a little bit less advantageous because of those load times when you go into your menu, but console players still did clear it even. So I'm not going to say it's an overall loss for Bungie making it ridiculously difficult. It definitely creates some intrigue and some interest, but the real story of this will be, does this have long-lasting effects? Will players want to play Destiny 2 more now to get geared up and get ready for the next big and crazy raid that comes out? As it stands right now, it'll be a year until a new raid, but we will get the epic version of this raid, which is going to have new mechanics and a bunch of things changed about it apparently. So that should be pretty hardcore and pretty fun. That comes out in 3 months, so you have that to look forward to. And then obviously with Renegades in 6 months from now, you'll have a brand new dungeon coming out. So there's always challenging PvE endgame content happening inside Destiny 2. But I wanted to bring a video talking about this person because they're a legend for exposing this and actually crunching the numbers and bringing some data, because I loaded into it and I mean, anyone could tell you this feels wrong. Like, it just felt wrong going around the encounters, but to actually see the numbers and to have the pictures to back it all up is really nice. So Bungie definitely messed up and they are currently investigating, but you know, they're gonna have to come out with a lengthy article or an apology or something and be like, yeah, we kind of fudged the numbers on that one, and we also fudged the numbers in the firing range, so apparently we don't even know how to do our own job. Pretty bad look from Bungie. Thankfully for them, at least people did clear it, right? If no one cleared the raid in 48 hours, that would everyone would be so mad. I think this would be a totally different story if no one clears inside 48 hours, right? What do you think about it though? Were you happy with the outcome? Do you think that it created a cool spectacle? Do you think that it creates a cool challenge? Does it make you want to aspire to get better loot so that way you can clear the next contest raid or maybe even the epic raid in 3 months? Or does it turn you off to Destiny 2 altogether? Do you want to play the game less because you don't want to be a sweaty nerd that sits inside the house and grinds this loot for hours, right? Like, it's not for everyone, right? Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all the news in Destiny 2. We'll see you in the next one. Later.